Here's some strategy on when to call a discard and make an exposure for today's Daily Talk, October 27th, 2025. First, really quickly, the rules. You can only make an exposure when you're completing a grouping of 3 or more identical tiles, and you must be playing an exposed hand. Remember, there can't be exposures before you have Mahjong of a single tile, a group of singles, or a pair. You won't see any of that until someone declares Mahjong. And now for the strategy part. Here are factors that can guide your decision, and all of these change based on passes during the Charleston, exposures by other players, and discards by other players. So would the discard complete either a pung, a kong, or a quint? Now, you know for a quint, you're going to need to use a joker unless that year has a quint of flowers. But for a pung or a kong, knowing that you have to use a joker and whether you have other jokers in your rack will help guide that decision. For a pung, maybe you'll wait. For a kong, you might want to call it if another tile of that tile has already been discarded. And you also want to consider whether natural tiles are still available for someone to do a joker exchange. Are you between a few hands? If you make this exposure, are you now locking into one specific hand that maybe you need a pair of flowers and you don't have those yet? Or if you have more flexibility and you wait, maybe you'll be able to pick some of those tiles and then move between those hands. Speaking of waiting, is patience a virtue? Some annual cards it is, some games it is. Other times, if you don't call a discard immediately, you might never see that same tile again. So looking at other players' exposures and discards, you might be able to tell if they possibly need this tile or are in your hand as well, using similar tiles, and maybe you do want to call it earlier. Most importantly, by calling this discard and making the exposure, what is left on the sloping part of your rack? This is something we kind of took from strategy about Scrabble. Every time you claim a discard and you make an exposure, you're given the opportunity to get rid of a tile you don't need anymore, and you're getting closer to Mahjong. So are you setting yourself up to call other groupings and make exposures, or even setting yourself up to call Mahjong by making this exposure? In that case, I do it. So with that, we invite you to check out our visual companion guide for American Mahjong. It's available on Amazon for individual copies and on Modern Mahjong in groups of 8 or more. We have a lot of events coming up. Check out our website. We have details on how to register for the Feller event coming up soon. And we have events in Naples. We have events in Aventura. We have events in Orlando. And we have our Zoom coming up for our virtual vintage where you could register by scanning that QR code. Thanks so much for watching. We hope that you learned something today, and like, comment, save, and share. With that, have a great day and a great game.